Today I'm going to make this delicious chocolate chip cake, and I share with you all the things I do to ensure my chocolate chips don't sink to the bottom. I'm using a pound cake recipe as the basis of my cake, so we'll start by adding softened or room temperature butter to a large mixing bowl. But how soft should softened butter or room temperature butter be? Let me show you. Press your finger into a block of butter. If you can press down with a little pressure and the shape of your finger remains in the butter and your finger comes out fairly clean and not oily, then it's ready. If your butter is at room temperature, it will make your cake light and airy. If you use butter that is too hard or too soft, it can make your cake dense. So it's really important you get this bit right. Now I'm going to add a bit of oil. Whisk both until just combined. I've used 2 types of fat in this cake because butter gives it a lovely flavour but lacks moisture, and oil has little flavour but adds much needed moisture in a butter-based cake. Next add sugar and mix for 2 to 3 minutes or until the mixture turns from bright to a pale yellow. It's increased in volume, it should look a bit like whipped cream, and if you rub the mixture in between your fingers, it should feel smooth and most of the sugar crystals should have dissolved. Eggs go in next, adding in 1 at a time, and these should also be at room temperature too. Whisk until fluffy and scrape down the sides a few times in between. You'll notice that if your eggs are not at room temperature, they will start to curdle the mixture. The eggs won't whip up and you won't get air into the batter. And you need air in the batter to give you a lighter cake. Now add half the flour, swap your whisk for a spatula and gently fold until smooth. Vanilla essence goes in next, followed by milk, which also, like the butter and eggs, needs to be at room temperature. It may seem like the milk isn't combining with the rest of the batter at first, and you might be tempted to beat the mixture, but don't. Continue to fold and eventually the mixture will come together. And here's my first tip to ensure your chocolate chips don't sink to the bottom of the cake. Keep the batter a little thicker than you would normally. So I've reduced the liquid element, which in this case is milk, by 1/3. Fold in the rest of the flour along with the baking powder. Finish with the rest of the milk, then it's time for the chocolate chips. Now for my final 2 tips. Smaller and therefore lighter pieces of chocolate are less likely to sink, so try to find mini chocolate chips, or if you can't find them and are prepared to put a little extra work in, get chocolate chunks and chop them up a bit. And finally coat your chocolate chips in flour before folding them into the cake mix. This gives them a better grip and more chance of staying suspended in the batter. Pour your mixture into a lined loaf pan, smooth out the top, bang it a few times on the work surface to remove any air bubbles, top with a few extra chocolate chips, and you're done. Bake for 40 to 50 minutes in a preheated oven or until an inserted toothpick comes out clean. Leave to cool in the pan, then turn your cake out onto a wire rack. If you want neat slices, I highly recommend leaving the cake for 3 to 4 hours or overnight before slicing. But if you can't wait like me, then slice carefully and enjoy.